This is a big giant book haul. And yes, I'm aware that I've got my hair sticking up back here. I can't make it go down unless I put all kinds of stuff in it. And I'm like, who cares? Hi, this is Kim from Middle of the Book March, and this is a big giant book haul. I'm going to try to talk fast because there's a lot here, and I'm actually kind of paring down all of the books that I bought so I don't show you everything, believe it or not. I received 3 books as gifts at Christmas time from my family, and so these are books that I had purchased for myself probably starting months ago, the end of October, beginning of November. But because the shipping had been messed up for so long, some of these took forever to arrive via book mail. And I have a small amount that I bought in person at a wonderful used bookstore, which I will talk about at a different time. So let's go. First of all, I have 2 books. Oh, and I am going to say the majority of these books are used or bargain books. There are only a few, I think, that I purchased as brand new releases or brand new copies of books. I don't always buy new releases. But I have 2 books that are both written by Japanese authors. The first one is Yuko Tsushima, Territory of Light. And this is a novella. There she is right there. This is a novella about it's spring and a young woman is left by her husband. She lives in a Tokyo apartment that is filled with light to the point where you have to squint to be able to see. She has a 2-year-old daughter, and even though they live in this bright, light-filled apartment, this is the story of her descent into darkness and depression and trying to come to terms with what her life has become. It looks really good. It is translated fiction, and it's translated by Geraldine Harcourt, Territory of Light. The next one is Yukio Mishima, The Frolic of the Beasts. And I don't know if anybody else has heard of him. He was a Japanese author born in 1925, I believe. He, interestingly, staged a military coup that failed, and he ended up committing suicide after that. And he was also nominated for the Nobel Prize 3 times. This is also translated from the Japanese by Andrew Clare. The Frolic of the Beasts, and I love these penguin covers. This is Koji. He's a student who has fallen hopelessly in love with a beautiful, enigmatic Yuko, but she's married to a literary critic and a serial philanderer. He's tormented by desire and anger, and he's driven to an act of violence that will bind this weird, strange love triangle together for the rest of their life. It's a book about darkness and lust and guilt. Frolic of the Beast. This is also a very short novel. And I finally received Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi, which was a shortlisted book for the Booker Prize. I think there's been enough of a description on BookTube everywhere. This is a quite dysfunctional, mad, dangerous relationship between a mother and a daughter. And Tara remembers the past one way, and Tara remembers it quite another. Each woman carries wounds inflicted by the other. Each nurses their wounds with the jealous relish of a lover. I've heard that this is a harsh book to read. It's got some dysfunctional, kind of abusive aspects to it. But I've also heard glowing reviews. There are several booktubers who absolutely adore that book, so I was very happy to order that one. The next one is Parakeet by Marie-Helene Bertino. This is a novel, and this is an interesting one. The week of her wedding, the bride, which is how she's referred to, is visited by a bird she recognizes as her dead grandmother. It must be because of the cornflower blue line beneath her eyes, her dubious expression, and the way she asks, "What is the internet?" Her grandmother is a parakeet. The parakeet tells the bride not to get married. She tells her, "Find your brother." And I wanted to read the first sentence or two because I read this and I was kind of intrigued. The chapter title is "What is the Internet?" 1 week before my wedding day, upon returning to my hotel room with a tube of borrowed toothpaste, I find a small bird waiting inside the area called the antechamber, and know within moments it is my grandmother. I recognize the glittering hematite eyes, the expression of cunning disapproval, the odor of a gin at close of day encircles her. What is the internet, the bird says? Does not say. So, Parakeet by Marie-Helene Bertino. This one is The Sacrifice by Adele Wiseman. Look at this. This cover is covered in knives. Again, intriguing. That cover is like, ooh. Is it predictive of something? I don't know. Let's see. A father clings to the tragic memories of his past. His only surviving son rebels against the severity of his father's ideals, but he ultimately offers his life for the thing his father prizes most. A grandson is left to reconcile the flaws of his inheritance. With biblical poignancy, The Sacrifice is Adele Wiseman's Governor General's award-winning first novel, a story of surrender and a haunting depiction of one family's struggle to survive. I have never read anything by her before. She's a Canadian author. She died in Toronto in 1992. So looking forward to reading more authors that are not American or US originated. She's Canadian, and there are several authors that I just talked about that are non-US authors, and I'm really enjoying that. This one is, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this last name, O.E. Rolvag, Giants in the Earth, a saga of the prairie. And here we go, finally, a big giant chunky book. O.E. Rolvag was born in 1876. He died in 1931. He is I'm gonna get this wrong, probably a Norwegian author. Giants of the Earth, the classic story of a Norwegian pioneer family struggles with the land and the elements of the Dakota territories. They try to make a new life in America. So I was looking for Norwegian or Scandinavian authors, and I saw this one. And quite honestly, this was almost a cover buy, because this is a Harper Perennial Modern Classic. I love these covers. It's so, I know it's so superficial, but the cover pulled me in, and when I read the story and the synopsis, really interested for that one. And these two are they are bargain books online. I think I got these two at Book Outlet. And these are both by Indigenous authors. This one is Our Story, Aboriginal Voices on Canada's Past. And this is a compilation of stories from multiple different authors. Let's see, preface by Rudyard Griffiths and forward by Adrienne Clarkson. These are inspired by moments that shaped this country and its people. In 9 stories of striking beauty and originality, Aboriginal voices bring to life a new vision of our history in ways that are often unexpected and always moving. Sounded really good. Again, really a perspective that I wanted to read more from. And this one I blame on Sean the Book Maniac. This is Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun by Paul Sisakwasis, I think is how you pronounce that. The subtitle on this one is Portraits of Everyday Life in 8 Indigenous Communities. And really quickly, in 2015, Sisakwasis found himself grappling with the devastating findings of Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission report on the residential school system. So he started doing some research into this topic, and he realized that another mostly untold history existed alongside the official one, that of how Indigenous peoples and communities had held together during even the most difficult times. So he basically embarked on a social media project where he researched and gathered photos, many of them candids, capturing everyday life in First Nations, Metis, and Inuit communities from the 20s to the 70s. And so this is a book. This is the inside French flap. Hope you can see all that. So this is nonfiction, kind of a a project of fascination for him and affection for what he started to discover. So it's filled with photographs of Indigenous people and Indigenous community life. There's text that goes along with what he discovered and what the pictures are showing us. This is just an extraordinary book. And I honestly can't believe that this was a bargain selection on book outlets, so I snatched that up immediately. Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun. So the next 4 are nonfiction, and these were all bargain purchases. The first one is Leaving Church by Barbara Brown Taylor. This is one of my favorite formats. It's a paperback with French flaps and deckled edges. And Barbara Brown Taylor is one of a well-known Christian preachers, and this is a story of her search for faith. In this chronicle of her life in and out of a collar, Taylor notes that after she gave up her post, she remembered what she had known all along, which is that church is not a stopping place, but a starting place for discerning God's presence in the world. She was in a post of pastoring a big urban church in Atlanta, and she eventually left that post, and she talks about kind of compassion burnout and what happens after that event, and really interesting for me. It's something near and dear to my heart. The next one is a biography of Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgkin, Patterns, Proteins, and Peace, A Life in Science, by Georgina Ferry. And she was born, her life was 1910 to 1994. She was renowned for her important work on penicillin, vitamin B12, and insulin. She was awarded the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1964 for her work in protein crystallography. Fully engaged with the political and social currents of her time, she participated in some of the greatest upheavals of the 20th century: women's education, the globalization of science, the rise and fall of communism, and international peace movements. She sounds fascinating, and this is a really great biography with a whole bunch of pictures in the middle. I love it when nonfiction biographies especially do that, because it gives you a visual of the context. The next one is Stoned by Asia Radin, Jewelry, Obsession, and How Desire Shapes the World. I love that cover. It is not the type of stoned you may be thinking. What makes a stone a jewel? What makes a jewel priceless? And why do we covet expensive jewelry? In this brilliant account of how 8 jewels shaped the course of history, jeweler and scientist Asia Radin tells an original and often startling story about our unshakable addiction to beauty and the darker side of human desire. I have always been fascinated about the jewelry industry and the jewel industry and what they've done to create the desire for expensive jewels, and why diamonds are so coveted and that type of thing. So that looks really good. And I think this is the last nonfiction I have. This is The Spiral Staircase by Karen Armstrong. She wrote A History of God, and this is her climb out of darkness. Let's see. In 1962, at the age of 17, she entered a convent. Eager to meet God, after 7 brutally unhappy years as a nun, she left her order to pursue English literature at Oxford. But convent life had profoundly altered her, and coping with the outside world proved to be excruciating. She is a religious author that I have another book or 2 of hers, and she's a very interesting writer. I told you last week, I think, about a novel I'm reading now, The Black Flamingo, that I found for $1 in a local thrift shop. I found a brand new hardcover copy of Emma Donohue's new novel, The Pull of the Stars, at that same shop for $4. So I got to go there more often. It's right in my town. Dublin, 1918. 3 days in a maternity ward at the height of the Great Flu. A small world of work, risk, death, and unexpected love, by the author of The Wonder in Room. I really like her. I like her writing. She was born in Dublin. She's an Irish author. And yeah, let's see. Now, I have bought a pile of books from World of Books online. These are all used. And these are all female authors. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the topics or the summaries. This one is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. These, like I said, World of Books, and they are based in the UK. Virago Modern Classics. And I blame Sarah from Hardcover Hearts for this pile, because these were just in spectacular shape at rock bottom prices, so I got a bunch of them. This one is Miles Franklin, My Brilliant Career, and I hope to read this in April with Sean the Book Maniac, unless we can't figure that out. So I'm gonna hopefully read that Australian author in April. This one is Christina Stead, Letty Fox, Her Luck. She is also the author of The Man Who Loved Children. Another, Elizabeth von Arnim, The Pastor's Wife. I love the green Virago classics. Absolutely love them. And two more. These are Virago special edition classics. This one is Memento Mori by Muriel Spark. I love this cover. This is a paperback with French flaps. Look at the inside. Absolutely love it. And A View of the Harbor by Elizabeth Taylor. Again, same French flaps inside of the dust jacket. I gotta eventually, once I build up my budget and my bank account, I gotta go back on World of Books and get some more. I had one more set of books. I'm gonna put those on pause because I have another video, like I've continued to hint at, of this amazing bookstore, used bookstore close to me. And that's where I got this other set of books, but I can't tell you right now because I'm so excited about them. And I'm going to push that video out until maybe March. So you only have to wait another month and a half to figure out what the hell I'm talking about. So that's it for my book haul. Again, were other books, but I'm going to leave that for now. This is plenty. This is enough. So I have one more book shipment that I'm waiting for over book mail, and that's it for me. I don't have any more open orders. I received a $50 gift certificate to my local used bookstore for Christmas, and I really want to use that. But I'm going to super duper pare down my book purchasing. I'm out of control. I'm totally out of control. I still have another smaller book unhaul to do. I did a great big one, and then I did a smaller one after that, and I have another smaller one to do after that. So I'm trying very hard to limit without totally depriving my book purchasing mania. We'll see how it goes. But one more book order and I'm done for a while. So thanks for watching this. Let me know what you think of any of these books or any of your thoughts about the book haul. I will see you in the next video, and I hope you're reading something good. Bye, everybody.